Okay, I'm going to go over some basics of masking, which is a really important concept that you'll be doing all the time. And so let's go ahead and get started. I have this loaded in here, this video file. And so if we wanted to create a mask, all you have to do is you have to select the layer, and then you go up to one of these tools here, either the one of these shapes, or you can pick the pen tool. Let's first start with the shape. So again, this has to be selected. If I select it and then click and drag, that creates a mask. And so now if you came down to your timeline, you'll see that there's now a mask underneath here, and it has various components that can be animated. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the mask path, and so now I'll select the arrow button, arrow tool, and that's going to allow me to move the whole thing. If I want to select just one of the keyframes, so I just select outside of it. So now when I move it in time, I can pick one of the points and animate or change the parameters. So now over time, you'll see that the mask is animating. Also, you'll see that in here, there's a little toggle mask. Sometimes you're going to see all these little things that allow you to click on these points and move them, and sometimes they get in your way. So you can kind of turn that on and off so that you can get it out of your sight. It has no impact on anything. It's just a way to kind of work a little bit differently. Now if I double click this is another, now I'm in my layer window. I double click that layer, and so in the layer window it's just another way to work on it. If I don't want to see any other layers, then I'm just working on this one layer, and that's the difference between the composition, is that you have access to all the layers, and here you have just one layer, and what you want to do with it is kind of up to you. Okay, and so the other thing is, now you can see that there is a feather here, so you can feather out the mask. Okay, you can change the opacity of the mask, so you can just have it be somewhat opaque or not. And then you can expand the mask beyond, or make it bigger or larger according to whatever you want to do. Okay, and so those come with every single mask. Now if I created another mask and just had them overlap, you see now I have two masks. And notice in here, in the masks, that it also has this inverted deal, so you can invert the mask. You can also change it to be, instead of add, to subtract, so it has its own composite modes for each one of these. Notice if I do this, that means like here's the layer selected, here it's not selected. If it's not selected and then I try to create a mask, it actually creates something called a shape. So you'll see that the shape is here. And we're going to deal with shapes in the future, but for now I just want you to understand that if you're getting this color or a color instead of a mask, it means that you did not select the layer before you made your shape. So let's go ahead and delete that layer, that shape. Select the layer, and let's create another mask. Okay. So now these two layers are overlapping. Now if I say intersect, now it's a way of you saying, okay, show me that mask, just show me the intersection. So it's just different ways of viewing and using these masks. Okay, so now not only that, it's animating over time, and so maybe you want to highlight an area. That's a reason why you might want to, you might want to animate this mask, but you're only showing it inside of a TV screen, maybe, who knows. But it's just an idea for why you might want to do something like that. All right, now I want to show you about vignettes. So it's not uncommon where somebody might want to have a vignette, like a kind of a circle around the image here. So it's very easy to create here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new solid. So layer, new solid, and I want it to be black, and I want it to be the comp size. Okay, and so now I have this black solid. It's sitting right on top of it, so you can't see it. But I want to create a vignette, so I'm going to select this rectangle tool, but I'm going to change it down to the ellipse tool. Okay, and so now I'm just going to go ahead and click and drag and create a shape, a circle. If I hold down the space bar, I can move the mask around if I want to. And I'm going to invert this, or I could change this to subtract. And so now I'm going to feather this, and that gives you a nice kind of subtle vignette. So if you have a dream sequence, or you just kind of want to make it old-timey looking, that's just a really good option for you. Okay, so now you know how to create a mask using the shape tools. But if I wanted to make a mask using the pen tool, you can do that as well. When I select the pen tool, notice what's going on here before I start doing anything. It's showing me fill and stroke, which is a clue that you're actually going to be making a shape and not a mask, because I didn't select the layer first. So let's get rid of that shape. Select the layer, and now let's go ahead and create a mask. Okay, and so this created a mask, and I've got these points here, and I can come in here just like we did in Photoshop with and use the Convert Vertex tool. And so now I can select these guys and make them softer if I want to do that. Okay, so you have your Bezier curves here. But I want to show you another thing here. Let's get rid of this mask. When I select this pen tool, there's something here called Roto Bezier. If I turn that on, and now when I make my dots, notice what it does is it automatically curves it for you. One more thing I'm going to show you is how to create an animated line. So let's say I wanted to create a mask. Let's go ahead and select the pen tool, and I want to have a line kind of like travel across there. Okay, and so underneath effects, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the effects panel, and what I want to do is find the word stroke, and I'm going to take this stroke effect. It's under generate, so if I came under effect, generate, and I went to stroke, I apply a stroke, and a stroke just basically means you've got this thing here that goes over the mask. And notice in the stroke effects control panel, you'll see that you can put the mask, you can have the stroke applied to a mask. In this case, it's a mask path. So let's go ahead and change that back to mask 1, and we'll make the brush size a little less. And what I want to do is show you the parameters here where it says start and end. Okay, when you see that, that usually means that this thing can change. There's going to be many effects you're going to encounter that have a start and an end. And typically use one or the other, not necessarily both, but you can. And so I'm going to turn on start, and so that created a keyframe there. I'll move it in time, and let's go ahead and change this, and you can see that line is going to paint on. Okay, so let's make this the end of my work path, and now let's hit space. And so now you can kind of see that this line is traveling across our path. So that's a pretty good feature.